steps in, it's over. The federal government takes paramount authority.
Michael Wilds in New York, if these are your clients here in South Florida and they want to try to keep the kid, can you think of a legal avenue for them to pursue, or is it a done deal?
Well, I think most of the opportunities that they've had in court so far have been procedural opportunities, nothing of substance. We don't know whether or not the father is actually a fit father. We don't know whether or not this politically prominent child actually has a viable political asylum application. Fidel Castro is a leader in a communist state. This boy, being politically prominent, will be transposed back to that state and will not have a life. The question is, and this is a legal question, is he of cognizable age to have a fear of being returned there, or circumstances around this whole escapade enough to warrant perhaps a look at that? Now, if the Attorney General is politically posturing against this young man and this whole opportunity in an aid to help President Clinton with his legacy, perhaps the court ought to give him a day in court, a substantive day in court.
Do you believe that's what's happening here?
Well, I do believe that this boy has not had a day in court as of yet. The fact remains that he has come to our shores. His mother died to bring him here. There is evidence that the father acquiesced, that he knew that the young man was on the way here. Why didn't he come here for the 4 months? What was his whole business with the grandmothers? Were they trying to sabotage the case? There are a lot of factual circumstances here, and a little more lawyering in a court system. That is, take this off of the streets and put it into the system is what I believe would be best.
Richard, you're familiar with these sorts of situations here in South Florida. This particular one, not an everyday occurrence, but this sort of thing happens a lot. The Cuban exiles here on this street will tell us that over the past few months, the father has been with Fidel Castro and has been being brainwashed the whole time. He's been told exactly what to say when he gets here and exactly how to act and exactly how to get the boy back to Cuba. Given all of that information, if in fact it's true, do we have some extra obligation to this child above and beyond what might normally happen?
The issue still comes down to paramount parental authority, and the father has that right. There's no question. It doesn't matter if he's a communist living in a dictatorship, or it matters if he's a poor person or anything else. He has a paramount right as a parent, and he may be controlled by Castro, but he has the right as a father, so long as he's not abusing his child, he's not taking advantage of the child in a fashion that's detrimental to the child.
Do we have an obligation legally, ethically, morally, to try and figure out if in fact the father is saying what he really believes?
I think there's probably an emotional reaction that we want to find out, is this true? But even if he's not saying what he really believes, if he really believes that he wants his son with him, and has talked about the fact, and they've shown pictures in the past, the videos and all, that they've had a close relationship, that's where he stands, that's what he wants.
Shepard, if I may interject,
sure, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, the slam dunk of all slam dunks would be if the father and the son decided to remain on our shores. That would not only honor the mother who gave her life for this liberty, but the fact remains that we would learn a heck of a lot more. Yes, nobody wants to see a father and a son not together. I represent several women whose parents have actually kidnapped young children, taken them to other countries. Right. The fact remains that this needs to go through the court system just a little longer.
Michael Wilds, thanks very much. Richard Milstein here in Miami. Thank you as well. Much more on the Elian Gonzalez case in just a few minutes. In the meantime, the Ramseys say bring on the lie detector test, but the
my opinion about the prosecution of President Clinton after he leaves office. I'll read some of your letters at the end of the broadcast, and that's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Russ Bridger, who lives in Minneapolis, writes, Bill, I am so outraged at how the Clintons have gotten away with so much that I, in my own way, am seeking to have heard about. Some kids have been kidnapped and taken to foreign countries, and the Justice Department does little about it. With us now is attorney Michael Wilds, who is also a former federal prosecutor. And, Counselor, you're telling me before the program began is 11,000 American children who have been kidnapped, mostly by one parent or the other, taken to a into foreign soils to no avail or help from the State Department or the Justice Department. It's a total affront, the personal attention that the Attorney General is giving right now to these parents who have had to march themselves into Muslim, into Japanese, into all kinds of courts, only to find out that they have no rights and that their elected officials back home won't assist them. Well, when you see the Elian Gonzalez case then, although it's a little bit different because Elian Gonzalez comes here under our law, then the other kids have been taken away from us. So it is a little bit different. But what do you see? What do you think's going on here?
Well, again, it seems right now that they're not allowing this boy a day in court, that they're procedurally posturing this to deny him an opportunity, which to me shows a political effect. We have represented defectors, political diplomats, whistleblowers, nuclear scientists. Never does a case like this or those take on anything without the involvement of the Attorney General. And the fact remains that the Attorney General has a political interest by involving herself in this case.
So you believe that Ms. Reno has injected herself in this because President Clinton wanted Elian Gonzalez to be sent back to Cuba for whatever reason. We really don't know why, and that's why she's taking so much time. But to be fair to Ms. Reno, what can she possibly do if you're working on 3 cases right now. One's in Saudi Arabia, the other's in Lebanon, I guess.
Right.
And
we were successful in getting 3 kids back from Syria.
From Syria. All right. So what can Janet Reno do in Saudi Arabia? What can she possibly do?
Well, she can do an extraordinary amount of things. The fact is that our administration brokers for military installations for all kinds of financial means with Boeing deals on the table and everything. The fact is they have a tremendous amount of leverage to return these children onto U.S. soil. But they won't do that because the State Department has continually protected the financial interests of the United States. And unfortunately, the administration has a different agenda.
All right, but that's the State Department. You know, what can Janet Reno and the Justice Department do in Saudi Arabia?
There are laws on the books that clients of mine have been able to help Congress promulgate, that the Justice Department has to be a little more adversarial to prosecute. That is, parents that abscond with foreign children, parents who abscond with children taken to other countries and then come back to our shores need to be prosecuted.
And they're not?
They're not being prosecuted with the same vigilance that we look towards other countries and the criticism that they're giving to the Gonzalez matter. Also, people who give safe haven to child abductors overseas need to be prosecuted as well.
Sure, we can indict them here and, as we have many times before, hold a trial without them present and fine them or do whatever. We've done that to Iran.
One of my cases, Ms. Rausch, had her children taken many years ago, only to find out that relatives who had given safe haven to her husband, child abductor, had then come in for surgery in the United States. We have laws on the books now that will stop people from coming to our shores if they give a safe haven to child abductors.
Are you 100% positive the Justice Department doesn't care about this at all?
I think they care about it, but it's more of a political posturing. They write letters, they give you lists of the attorneys that you can go to. They'll conduct welfare visits where they can actually go and see the child. But, you know, these letters and memos are going from ambassadors straight to the White House. And no move is made in these countries, particularly Middle Eastern countries, without the acquiescence of the White House.
So we have 11,000, bottom line, 11,000 American kids who have been kidnapped from this country in overseas situations, and the only name that everybody watching knows is Elian Gonzalez.
And the fact remains that these kids have U.S. passports. They're just as much a citizen as you and I are, Bill.
Something wrong. Okay, Counselor, we appreciate you coming in. Thanks very much. And next, a father's rights advocate weighs in on justice for Elian. We'll have him react to the counselor as well. Also up ahead, the Ramsey
himself is speaking out for the first time on tape. Our Fox team coverage of this tug of war starts in Miami with Orlando's.
We've all heard U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno's last-minute meeting here in Miami Beach turned out to be an absolute failure. Nobody wanted to budge, and as you said just a short while ago, John, now there apparently is video of Elian Gonzalez himself telling on video his father exactly how he does not want to go back to Cuba. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of that video, fresh, released actually very, very early this morning. Now, on this video, Elian Gonzalez is apparently sitting on a bed in his great-uncle's home, we believe, and on this bed, he is sitting there, and while he's eating, he's talking. Here, let's listen to this. Okay, folks, so we're having...
Daddy, I don't want to go to Cuba. If you want to, stay here. I'm not going to Cuba.
And you see him right now, he's sitting on the bed, and he is talking, and in this video, he is saying, you know what, Dad? He says, Papa, which means father in Spanish. He says, I don't want to go back to Cuba. If you want to go back to Cuba, that's fine. But you know what, Dad? You should stay here with me. But I do not want to go back to Cuba. That's what Elian says in the video. Very interesting at this point. Remember now, Armando Gutierrez, the Miami family spokesman, made this available again very, very early this morning. Certainly, the Miami family has become very, very media savvy. They probably realize that this may be their last-minute miracle, their last hope. They're putting this video out, we understand, certainly to try and sway public opinion at this very last minute. Who knows if it's going to happen? The crowds certainly out here have begun to build. We also understand right now that in Little Havana, certainly the crowd again has been building. We have some video to show you that was shot a little while ago of one man who was arrested a short while ago. Apparently, this man tried at some point to break through the police lines. You see him right there. Police grabbed him, arrested him. We told right now that they expect Janet Reno's 2 o'clock afternoon deadline to go by without the Miami family delivering Elian to Janet Reno. They're saying, the crowd is saying, they'll shut this place down to keep Elian in his little Havana home. And these Elian supporters got a big boost of confidence from Lázaro Gonzalez. The great uncle told the crowd very